Every new year offers the promise of a new you, the person you'd become if only you could just stick to those all too easy to make New Year's resolutions. Easier said than done, as our Rocca knows only too well.
The clock is ticking down once again to a new year, and millions of Americans are right now making promises they probably won't keep.
Once again, getting into shape was the #1 New Year's resolution.
Well, if you haven't already given up on your New Year's resolution to try to eat healthier, listen, I have faith in you out there.
And if your New Year's resolution was to become rich, well, it's not too late.
Studies show most New Year's resolutions are bound to fail. But did you know that we've been failing at them for thousands of years?
Even if we go very far back in history, we can find people trying to kind of orchestrate a fresh start at the New Year's through resolutions.
Candida Moss is a historian and professor of theology at the University of Birmingham. She says annual attempts at self-improvement are about as old as the celebrating of New Year's itself.
The ancient Babylonians had a big celebration, almost 2 weeks long, where they celebrated the new year around springtime in March or April and would make resolutions. And they were small. So pay off like small debts. They would make sort of small vows about better behavior. And the Romans would do the same thing.
In 46 BC, Julius Caesar created a new Roman calendar that started the new year on the first day of January. January was named for the Roman god Janus, whose two faces look forward and back.
And that's really important for how we think about New Year's as a kind of taking stock and starting again.
Were these kind of traditions about making the people happy or making the gods happy?
These are primarily about making the gods happy. And that's really what New Year's is about. It's a kind of supernatural spring cleaning.
Over the centuries, traditions changed. For many in the West, New Year's lost much of its religious significance. The advent of electricity helped turn the celebration into a nighttime affair, complete with champagne toasts and midnight kisses. But through it all, the ritual of the New Year's resolution remains.
In only a few days now, this year will be over and a new one will begin. Rocca and Nancy Giles share some New Year's resolutions.
And back in 2008, my friend and colleague Nancy Giles and I publicly acknowledged our own resolutions. How much do I love New Year's resolutions? I've had the same 3 for the last 9 years. We got together 15 years later to see how they held up. Number 1, learn to speak Spanish fluently. Number 2, read the Bible cover to cover. I just can't get past Leviticus. And 3, complete a back handspring unassisted. It is weird to look back at this stuff, and I did have the same resolutions over and over and over again.
Those are such noble resolutions, and that you stick to it. So how's the Spanish going?
Sí. I never quite. And I have not been to un gimnasio for a long time, so the back handspring, I don't know that it's ever going to happen now.
Wouldn't it be better to approach our New Year's hopes very, very quietly, so that we're all less humiliated when we don't get there? I try to make my resolutions more specific, realistic, doable. Take salsa lessons. Throw out more paper. I was worried. I was sure I was going to say a lot of things that down the line I hadn't done, but kind of being cool and being content with one's life and living quietly, I can do that, and I can still do that.
What grade would you give yourself on those resolutions?
Yeah, I'd say maybe a B, maybe B minus. The paper thing is still really, but I'm working on it.
What kinds of resolutions are more likely to succeed?
Small resolutions. And a psychologist will tell you small baby steps. Don't revolutionize your life just overnight.
New Year's is arguably the most optimistic holiday, and New Year's resolutions, succeed or fail, have a lot to do with that. After all, there's no chance you'll achieve a goal if you never set one in the first place.
I think everyone struggles with, just the problem of not living up to the person they want to be. And funnily enough, the whole system is based on the idea that you'll inevitably fail, but it doesn't matter because there's always next year.
Cheers.
Happy New Year.
On New Year's Eve, all eyes were on the crystal ball dropping in New York's Times Square. What? Nobody was dropping anything anywhere else? Get serious. A giant pickle plunged into a barrel in North Carolina. A 200-pound bologna fell to earth in Pennsylvania.
In Times Square, they dropped the ball. In Key West, they dropped the shoe with sushi in it.
A live drag queen floated down in Key West. And a frozen carp named Lucky descended to the throne in Wisconsin. Here at Clay's Corner gas station, sort of the Times Square of Brasstown, North Carolina, they were doing the traditional dropping of the possum. Clay Logan, founder of the Possum Drop, would like you to know that their possum is lowered, not dropped, as delicately as New York's Waterford crystal ball.
If we said, come to Brasstown to the lowering of the possum, well, nobody enjoyed that, but this possum that we use is taken care of. Matter of fact, there are probably possums up around my house with a little sign saying, use me next year,
Clay says Brasstown is proud to call itself Possum Capital of the World and pays tribute to the little critters each year at a pre-drop spectacular that draws thousands. And where Opie, this year's designated Possum Droppee, was the star. Opie could look down through his plexiglass cage and see the remarkably eclectic extravaganza below. There was the Baptist Church Choir, followed by a cross-dressing beauty pageant. There was the Brasstown Brigade, an outfit that blesses people at the New Year by chanting,
We wish you a happy new year, great health, long life.
firing black powder muskets, and playing tuba solos. And there was a truly moving tribute to fallen soldiers.
Vernon Baker, John William Finn.
I was blind, but now I see.
Which only in Brasstown could be followed by the Possum Drop.
It's midnight. Let's get the possum down. Happy New Year!
When the crowd had finally gone, Opie was released. Is that a stirring, emotional moment for you, the separation?
Well, we say goodbye. We don't kiss, but we say goodbye.
Happy New Year, Opie. Stay out of traffic.
Well, Happy New Year. How are those resolutions going? Didn't you say you're going to drop 15 pounds? Okay, I know yesterday was a holiday, and today, well, today you've apparently decided to watch Sunday Morning instead of your weight, but really, didn't you at least vow to be more organized in 2011? I mean, how long does it take to alphabetize your spice rack? Oh, but who am I to judge? I was supposed to be talking to you in Spanish by now, but I can't even roll my R's. About half of Americans make New Year's resolutions, and then 4 out of 5 of us break them. So depressing. So, I propose this year, make some resolutions you can keep because they'll feel good. Resolve to fall in love. It's as easy as a staring contest. One scientific study asked strangers to stare at each other for 4 minutes without talking. The strangers found themselves deeply attracted to each other, and 2 of the subjects even got married. It sounds crazy, right? Let's try it. Oh, my. Have I ever told you how dreamy you are? What are you doing next Sunday morning? Make a resolution to stay in love. Do something out of your comfort zone with your partner. And I don't mean play naked Scrabble with your in-laws. When you do activities together that involve fear, your brain produces arousal chemicals that get misattributed to your partner. So grab hands and bungee jump. Or contemplate a Palin presidency. And in 2011, try falling in love with yourself a bit more. Impress yourself by deciding to learn one new thing and then really do it. Take an improv class, learn to make flan, read As I Lay Dying. Not at the same time, though. Flan is messy. So is Faulkner. Happy 2011. Embrace your new resolutions. And I wish you good luck in Spanish. Buena suerte. Suerte. Oh well, there's always next year. Are you staring at me?
Taking care of family and renewing friendships and growing spiritually.
4 days and counting.
To try to have more balance in my life, to try to exercise more.
To make your New Year's resolutions.
Finish school, work with my acting coach, become famous.
It's the time of year when our drive for self-improvement reaches its peak.
80 million Americans are trying to change their behavior in New Year's resolutions. We should pay more attention to it.
John Norcross is a psychology professor at the University of Scranton who studies how and why people change, this week and every week.
On any given year, well over 90% of Americans are going to try to improve something about their life or circumstances. Everyone's seeking the opportunity for redemption and then improvement.
Yes, change is in the air, and there are plenty of places ready to help. We stopped in at the New York Sports Club and met one guy who is either a source of inspiration or of despair for the rest of us.
Since 1970, September 22nd, 1970, I started counting my morning mileage. I get up at 3:30 in the morning and run. They just had a big party for me at work. I passed the 100,000 mile lifetime running mark yesterday.
Heels together, keep lengthening.
Just hearing that made us tired,
Press away.
so we went to the New York Open Center.
Yes, good. Squeeze the tush, tight tush.
It's a self-improvement mecca for the spiritual and the physical. There we met Tasha Bailey.
I've tried meditation, I've tried yoga, I exercise, well, I'm trying to get back into exercise, that also helps.
So this is myrrh and sandalwood.
She was taking a class in aromatherapy, using the scents of herbal oils to soothe her chakras, her body's spiritual energy points.
Frankincense calms our breath and opens all of the upper chakras.
She also sniffed out some self-help books in the center's bookstore.
I think it's becoming more acceptable too. You know, people don't look at you as like, the reason why I read it personally is to help me to handle situations better.
The key concept here is that you don't have to be sick to get better.
That's a concept to which Wayne Dyer has dedicated his life and his 24 self-improvement books. His 25th is taking shape on his dining room table at home on the island of Maui. Dyer's books account for some of the 63 million self-help books bought each year in this country, offering you advice on how to improve how you look, eat, think, and spend. Dyer himself is about to be inducted into the Books for a Better Life Hall of Fame. But when Dyer hits the beach, even he has self-help at hand.
I very seldom go out and run without a tape in my ear, listening to them. People would often say to me, my gosh, you're one of the gurus of this whole field. Why would you be doing this? It's because I'm in a constant state of growth.
Comedian George Carlin, though, raises one objection.
If you're looking for self-help, why would you read a book written by somebody else? That's not self-help, that's help. There's no such thing as self-help. If you did it yourself, you didn't need help.
There are, of course, some things you can't do yourself. Bright Smile has a full house of mouths, all those teeth getting a white Christmas.
Wow.
Junior Pence got the $600 treatment.
What do you think? Those are white.
From dentist Radford Goto.
Do you get a sense that the people that are coming in to see you are doing other things to improve their lives?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we get the people who are doing the full makeover. They're like, all right, after this, I'm going to go for my pedicure, my manicure, a dye job, Botox.
You're just on the list of
many
many
we're just
things.
one of the many things, exactly.
But maybe you just want to watch. Oprah has done so many TV makeovers, she had a makeover reunion show this month.
Looks like I put my finger in a socket, doesn't it?
High stakes. Worst case scenario.
If you're not squeamish, you can watch extreme makeovers.
Let's talk about your nose first.
Yes.
What exactly do you want to change?
And one of cable's biggest hits is Queer Eye for the Straight Guy.
A sweater vest. You look like Potsy from Happy Days. No.
5 gay men go to work on a hapless straight man's entire life.
Where'd you get this?
Kmart.
Someone here. Don't use that kind of language around me.
We took in some Queer Eye tryouts and met Eric Vidal.
I'd first like to concentrate on, in my mind, being a loving, compassionate person. And if I looked great on top of that, then there's nothing wrong with that.
If nothing else, the show has made Carson Kressler over into a star.
The areas that we teach guys about on our show are all areas that were kind of taboo. I mean, guys really want to know about, what a good wine is, or how to make an omelet, or, what colors look good on them, and how to take care of their skin. But for many years, it was like, ooh, if I ask somebody about that, people think I'm, people think the next thing I'll be doing is looking for a boyfriend on the internet.
I ain't being what I'm supposed to be.
Singer Cheryl Wheeler has felt the downside to all these good intentions, what she considers self-improvement guilt.
I'm unworthy, all this me is self.
So she resolved to write a song.
I should learn how to meditate and sew and bake and dance and paint and sail and make a spatcha.
Wheeler herself doesn't particularly want to change and has decided that that's okay.
I mean, if you look at the people that we really admire, the saints like Mother Teresa, I bet she didn't buy any self-improvement videos, because I guess the first key to self-improvement is stop thinking about yourself.
Sure enough, some of us are following the Wheeler way.
My New Year's resolution is to think whether I can improve the world and make peace.
But others have just given up trying.
I'm not making any resolutions. I'm just gonna let it flow, because I always break them. It's not cool.
Chest, front of the shoulders, tricep.
Back at the gym, we asked trainer Ken Secretar,
do you find people stick with it or no?
Unfortunately, a good percentage don't stick with it. The statistics nationally show that over half the people that join, especially in January and around the time of resolutions, won't stick with it after 6 months.
However, psychologist John Norcross prefers to see the champagne glass as half full. You just need planning, rewards, and, most of all, persistence.
Our research indicates that the average resolver will take 3 years to permanently capture their goal. So it really is a lifetime process, a marathon of sorts, not a 100-yard dash through January.
You going to take any resolutions this year?
Yes, I'm going to continue to exercise. This year I hope 3 times a week.
So you have 4 more days to decide whether to stick with the old you or ring in the new.
There's the elegant sound of the Amor Artis chorus.
Be forgot and Auld Lang Syne.
There's the solo voice of young theater star M.J. Rodriguez. But for sheer spirit, there's nothing like the New York Caledonian Club, a group of Scottish Americans. Because in case you didn't know, Auld Lang Syne hails from the land of kilts and bagpipes. Just ask John MacDonald.
To Scots, Auld Lang Syne is a very living song. Yes, we sing it in New Year's along with everybody else. But to us, it's part of the ceremonies and celebrations that we do all the time.
To learn how it all got started, come with us to the Morgan Library in Manhattan, where there's a whole exhibit on Auld Lang Syne.
Well, the individual words mean old, long, and since in Scots.
So old, long, since.
Right. No, we would never say old, long, since in English. So for me, probably the best rendition in English is For Old Time's Sake.
Curator Christine Nelson says the story of the song can be found in the letters of the great Scottish poet Robert Burns. Burns was born in 1759 and known for poems and songs like Comin' Through the Rye. He was also an expert on old Scottish folk tunes, which is how he said he first came upon Auld Lang Syne.
Well, Burns said in one of the letters on view that he listened to an old man singing the song, and that it had never before been in print or in manuscript until he wrote it down from that old man singing.
But historians believe that Burns substantially rewrote the words.
He didn't make any secret of the fact that he was doing what he called mending these old songs so that they could be, given to the public for posterity.
Burns thought the tune he originally heard with the song was mediocre. So publisher George Thompson printed Auld Lang Syne with music of a traditional Scottish melody.
It fit metrically with the words of Auld Lang Syne. We don't have a record of how he made that decision to bring them together, but he did, and that is what we sing now.
Singing Auld Lang Syne on New Year's became a Scottish tradition that spread all over the world. From Sweden to China. Guinness World Records says it's one of the most popular songs in the world, recorded by scores of artists.
And days of Auld Lang Syne.
What does this song mean? My whole life, I don't know what this song means.
When Harry kissed Salie, it was to strains of Auld Lang Syne in the 1989 film.
Will old acquaintance be forgotten? And that's about all I remember of the lyrics, I'm sorry.
But it may be one of those songs best sung
Hey, old acquaintance.
in the safety of large groups.
May old acquaintance be forgotten.
That's about it.
That's about all we remember.
But the message comes through loud and clear.
I think probably everybody has that same sort of reaction of remembering being with people, your family, friends.
It makes me think of people being together, having a good time, and just all those differences that we think about any other time of the year just sort of melting away.
Robert Burns died at 37, long before the song he said thrills my soul became a symbol of our shared experience, whether we can sing it or not.
Hello, my name is Bill. I'm a designated driver. Naturally, I was despondent when my friends first broke the news to me, but you know, in this age of temperance, there are thousands of designated drivers out there and millions of people who don't drink alcohol at all anymore, even on New Year's Eve.
So what do they drink these days? Water.
The trend is now towards classy-looking waters that you can sit at a bar or walk around in your hand, but it's water.
Stan Seibenberg has opened the Water Center, a water boutique in Edison, New Jersey, featuring 150 different kinds of bottled water, from Alaska to Zanzibar.
We've got some very nice waters from California. We've got some nice waters from Texas, sangria-flavored water from Mexico. When you're looking
Mexico? We don't even drink the water when we go there.
On the top over there, we've got a very unusual pear-flavored water. That's from Switzerland. This is water from the rainforests of Brazil. A bottle of water that has a low total dissolved solid count will usually be very refreshing. Our biggest seller right now is a kiwi-flavored water from Australia. This is a water that the artist's nephew has come up with, Renoir.
So everybody's getting into the act, aren't they?
That's for sure.
There are actually 600 or 700 different kinds of water out on the market today. They keep coming up with new ideas, like this water from Wisconsin, which has a maple syrup flavor to it. It sounds like a terrible idea. It is.
We prefer waters that do not smell or have particles in them.
Is it getting like wine? Is there a bit of a snob element here?
Obviously. In a white tablecloth restaurant, that's what you want to drink. You want to drink a quality-looking product, an elegant-looking product.
Water used to be so simple. Now it is like wine. You need a water steward to tell you what to drink.
And it goes especially well with chicken and lamb.
What kind of a water would a connoisseur drink? I mean, what do they look for? What's better about certain ones?
They like a smaller bubble.
I was drinking more water than our troops in the Middle East, all of them, and just getting more and more confused. The labels on these things always have pictures of the French Alps or Canadian glaciers. This one has a picture of a polar bear on an iceberg, but the label says it's New Jersey tap water. Stan, on the other hand, carries water favored by Chinese emperors, and Transylvanian water consumed by cavemen and Count Dracula. You might want to watch out for that Dracula water.
People believe that these waters have all sorts of powers. They think that this one can cure hangovers, something I won't be needing this year. They say that this one can actually reverse the aging process, which is not bad for $1.75. And this one, they say that this one is an aphrodisiac.
This is called Aqua Libra.
Stan said he had just the thing for New Year's Eve, champagne water, which he was taste testing at a nearby Bloomingdale's.
Would you drink that on New Year's Eve instead of champagne?
No.
It's good. I drink it after the champagne.
How about you? Would you drink that on New Year's Eve instead of champagne?
Yeah, I'd spike it up a little.
Stan was absolutely right. With this new non-alcoholic champagne substitute beverage, the designated driver can now join in New Year's Eve fun.
Time is an illusion, Albert Einstein told us. If you don't believe Einstein, listen to the ultimate Time Lord, Doctor Who.
People assume that time is a strict progression of cause to effect, but actually, from a non-linear, non-subjective viewpoint, it's more like a big ball of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Who am I to argue? Even though time seems real and really unstoppable, especially at the end of another breathless year. Sometimes art helps illuminate science. This past year, I learned two life-changing ideas from the world of art. One is pentimento, which I first encountered when I saw this drawing by the artist Henri Matisse. As I got closer, I could see that Matisse had sketched over and over and didn't entirely erase his scribbles. A friend explained this is called pentimento, which is Italian for repent, to regret, to change your mind. Matisse, a master, left his stumbles for us to see, and the ghosts of his mistakes inspire us to strive not for perfection, but for creation. The other notion is kintsugi, which is the Japanese method of repairing broken ceramics with gold. The idea is that the cracks of something are part of its history and should be kept visible, even shiny. It's the art of embracing damage while making something whole. An object becomes more beautiful because of its flaws. What if we consider kintsugi and pentimento in our New Year's resolutions? The word itself, resolution, suggests we return to our shortcomings, chronically trying to solve ourselves again and again. But we'll never be perfect, so perhaps our resolutions can involve being humble enough to shed light on our cracks and brave enough to repair them visibly. Maybe that's a kind of time travel in which we make peace with past and future at the same time. May we hold the moments of this new year mindfully, like a big ball of precious wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff.
Now that the new year is upon us, some of you might be feeling bad about already breaking the resolutions you made to yourselves only a couple of days ago. Well, not me, because this year, instead of getting down on myself or making promises to myself I can't keep, I'm taking a new tack. My resolutions for 2016 are all things that I'm already doing and will continue to do. For example, this year, I resolved to continue having pizza for dinner every Friday night. It's delicious, inexpensive, and the kids never go, "Pizza again?" Instead, they go, "Pizza again?" Plus, science has proven that pizza calories don't count because anything that tastes that good cannot make you fat. Also, I resolved to continue not jogging. Jogging is bad for the knees and other body parts as well. In fact, according to the American Academy of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, nearly 70% of all runners can expect to become injured. 70%! Those are Ebola numbers. Running is to the body what demolition derby is to the automobile. So I am going to continue not doing that. In 2016, I resolved to spend a little too much on presents for my wife and not enough on retirement. Every year, my wife and I tell each other we're not going to get each other anything for Christmas. And every year, I end up buying her a bunch of stuff that she doesn't need, but that makes her happy. Same with her birthday. And when they shut off our heat after we've retired because we can't afford to keep it on, at least we'll have plenty of fancy sweaters to wrap ourselves in. This year, I resolved to continue complaining about the New York Yankees. Everybody likes to complain about the Yankees, people who hate them and people like me who love them. Complaining about sports teams, that's one of the things that binds us together as Americans. The Yankees are the only team I follow, and I find complaining about the failures of other people keeps me from looking too closely at my own. Psychologists call this avoidance, and it's a terrific way to feel better about yourself without having to do any, work. So yeah, improving yourself with resolutions, it's fine and everything. But knowing you are a flawed human being who eats a little too much pizza, doesn't exercise or save enough, but goes through the new year with a smile on your face, that's even better.
Ah, New Year's Eve. The ball dropped, champagne was popped, and popped, and popped. And today, many of you are ringing in 2012 with a hangover.
The pain right in the back of the head and right around to the front of the head.
It all just hurts. It doesn't feel good.
You can't concentrate, things always take a lot longer than they should do. So it's not the best way to start a new year.
There's headache, there's nausea, there's vomiting, there's vertigo, okay? There's anxiety, there's depression, there is a sense of doom.
Dr. Stephen Lamb is an internist in New York City. He describes the hangover as a perfect cocktail of dehydration, low blood sugar, sleep disruption, and even mental instability.
People have to appreciate you're dealing with an extremely toxic substance.
To Dr. Lamb, hangovers are no joke, but try telling that to Hollywood. In The Nutty Professor, Jerry Lewis was assaulted by his hangover headache. And 2009's The Hangover was a box office smash.
Phil, do not go in the bathroom.
Al, just calm down.
Phil, there is a tiger in the bathroom.
What's going on?
But let's face it, in the real world, a hangover is nothing to laugh at, and mankind has been under its influence since Noah and the Great Flood.
He came ashore, he planted his vines, he got very drunk, he passed out naked in his tent. So next day he wakes up with such a hangover, he condemns all of Canaan's descendants to a slavery.
Right.
That's a pretty tough hangover.
That is a tough hangover.
Frank Kelly Rich is the editor of, believe it or not, Modern Drunkard magazine. He notes that the hangover, like the devil, has been known by many names throughout history, such as crapulence, the morning fog, the black dog.
The Jim Jams, bust head.
Bust head.
Yeah. I mean, the very descriptive words that the working class came up with to describe their feelings.
And hangover was born at the turn of the century?
About 1906, it started becoming in common use as something left over from the night before. It's actually the perfect word when you think about it. It just sounds right, like you're hanging over a sink in the morning, just feeling like hell.
Whatever it was called, finding a cure has long been an elusive goal. The ancient Greeks would engrave their wine cups with praises to the drinking gods. The Romans dined on owl eggs, and there were other, even less appetizing cures.
The Mongolians would eat sheep eyes. The Syrians would grind up sparrow beaks and mix that with water and drink it. Practitioners of voodoo would take the cork of the offending bottle and stick it with needles and try and stop it.
It wasn't until the Industrial Revolution, when a suspicious illness called the one-day flu appeared, that the scientific community was called in for help.
What was the one-day flu?
It was a hangover that prevented the worker from going to work, and doing his job.
And so was born the hunt to find a cure.
Exactly.
Through the years, many products have claimed to be that holy grail of hangover cures. One of the newest is a preventative drink called Mercy.
We need 3 pinches of ginger.
Alex Ott, one of the minds behind the elixir, mixed me a cocktail he calls Angel of Mercy.
And so what's the science in this cocktail that's going to help me not have a hangover in the morning?
The science is that Mercy is fortified with a lot of nutrients, a lot of amino acids, antioxidants, multivitamins. We have chamomile extract in there. We have milk thistle to protect your liver. We have alpha-glutaric acid.
Still, for every can of Mercy, there are a dozen other opinions on what will work.
Pepsi and milk, 50-50.
A black cup of coffee. And the detox, with the black cup of coffee, 2 apple pies from McDonald's.
The brunch, bacon, and Bloody Marys.
Hair of the dog.
The hair of the dog. Drinking an alcoholic beverage, like a Bloody Mary, as a hangover remedy.
I'm not certain it's a great idea, because all you're going to be doing is delaying the inevitable, because now you're going to have to metabolize what you just drank. So I don't think that that's a great idea.
Unfortunately, the only foolproof way to avoid a hangover is to not drink. But if you are imbibing, here's some more sobering advice prescribed by Dr. Lamb.
If you drink a pure ethanol, sort of a vodka gin, the likelihood is you will have less of a hangover. Drink slowly, hydrate, have some food, try to go to sleep a little earlier. When you wake up in the morning, maybe have a little caffeine, maybe have a little, aspirin or acetaminophen, have some tea with honey, ginger, peppermint to settle your gastrointestinal tract.
Oh, who are we kidding? If you have a hangover this morning, you're probably not even watching this. And if you are, just go back to bed.
I don't make explicit resolutions anymore. I have vague wishes that this may be the year I'll meditate or return to my college-level French or finally read Moby Dick, call my dad more. But as I watch my children grow, for children are the real markers of a year flying by, suddenly my son is almost eye to eye with me and my daughter can wear my shoes. Suddenly, I'm the exact age my mother was when she left this earth. And all I want is more time. If I could resolve to make more time, I would. So I do the thing that comforts me. I go to the dictionary. And I learn the root of resolution is Latin, resolvere, which means loosen, undo, release. Who knew? Resolvere sounds gentle and just what I need, and maybe you do too. Maybe this new year can be a loosening. My beloved Aunt Judy died last year, and what I wanted to keep of hers was one of her prayer cards from her knitting circle. She was Catholic from Boston and used to curse by saying things like, "Sweet Redeemer." And this card calls the Blessed Virgin Mary Our Lady, Undoer of Knots. And it asks for help in release from entanglements and for faith in the unfurling ribbon of our lives. That is my resolution for myself. And perhaps it speaks to you, to undo knots, to allow our most contorted, intractable positions to stretch, to be willing to see things differently, which may allow us to see things we've never seen before. To be so present now that we loosen our grip on the past and our white knuckles about the future. And perhaps that is how we make time slow down, even just a little.